started his law enforcement career in 2007 with the Greenwood Police Department. He came to the Anderson Police Department in 2010. 2012, he became my K-9 handler. In 2013, he was transferred to the Narcotics and Vice Division and became a member of our SWAT team. In 2017, he became the commanding officer of the SWAT team. In March 2019, he was promoted to the rank of Detective Sergeant in the Criminal Investigative Division. In January 2022, he was promoted to Lieutenant in the Special Operations Division, and for the last 3 months, he has served as Acting Captain in Special Operations. As of today, he is currently Captain of our Special Operations Division that manages all our narcotics, SWAT, school resource officers, K-9 program, so he has quite a lot under his authority. Captain DeBlay, I think you have some special guests here tonight you'd like to recognize.
Yeah, my wife and my oldest daughter, Isabella, and my youngest daughter, Avery.
Thank you. Glad y'all could be here. Captain DeBlay, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. This will be your oath.
I, Jan DeBlay,
as a captain of the City of Anderson,
as a captain of the City of Anderson,
equally, fairly, and impartially,
will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust imposed in me,
and will use my best endeavors
and will use my best endeavors
to carry into effect,
to carry in effect,
according to law, the purpose for which I've been elected.
the purpose for which I've been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The minutes of our August 28th meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to approve?
I move they be adopted.
First by Mr. Walker,
Second.
second by Mr. Newton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of August 28th pass unanimously. A couple items of old business, and the first item is request consideration. We request second reading of ordinance 2317, authorizing the execution of a intergovernmental agreement with Anderson County and the execution of necessary documents to convey title to a 7.5 acre tract of land formerly used as the Anderson County Animal Shelter. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you. This is on second reading. We've talked about this, had a work session on this, and Mr. McLean has prepared this item, and we'll go over it for you.
Okay. This involves a 7.5 acre tract of land the city owns. Actually, we acquired it back in the 30s. We deeded it to the county in 1975 for use as a dog facility, and it had a reversionary clause in that deed. Some folks that are interested in purchasing the property need the facility burned and is no longer being used as that. There are a couple of people that are interested in purchasing it in the county and the city. We both would be required to execute a deed to give good title to the property, and this is an ordinance to approve an agreement with us and the county to do that. The county would take care of the procurement process, and they advertise it for sale. We would come back to you once we reach what we think is a reasonable price, but this would go ahead and authorize the execution of the deed. We passed it on first reading at the last meeting. We recommend we pass it on second reading.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Any questions, comments? I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve on second reading.
First by the Mayor Pro Tem. Second by Dr. Thomas. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously on the second and final reading. Last item of old business is request
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Following the 2020 census, and upon the data being received and available to municipalities at the micro level of municipality, it's necessary for the city to redistrict. The city used the redistricting services of the SC Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Mapping and Operations Division that is tasked with assisting state, counties, and municipalities with drafting redistricting maps that can meet the test of law. This state office takes a neutral and unbiased approach in drafting the maps, and in doing so creating maps that can meet the law and be defended in the courts if they were challenged. Redistricting maps must meet numerous standards: equal protection under the 14th Amendment, voting rights under the 15th Amendment, and the portions of the Voting Rights Act that are in effect. In redistricting, that is the redrawing of the council seats, districts need to follow the principle of one person, one vote, which derives from the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. In practice, the principle means working to divide single-member council districts so that each district has the same number of residents in it, or as close to the same number as possible. So the residents are receiving fair and evenly distributed representation. The city began initial contact with the state office in October, November of 2022, and so far 5 draft maps have been prepared based on input from City Council. This is a council-driven process. The staff has been here to coordinate with the state staff to help move forward the different versions of the drafts that have been presented. Thus far, we've conducted 5 work sessions, including a public hearing at tonight's meeting. On January the 23rd, 2023, there was a work session held at 4:30. February 27th, 2023, there was a work session held at 5 o'clock. March 27th, 2023, 5 o'clock work session. August 28th, 2023, our last meeting, there was a 5 o'clock work session and passage of map 4 on first reading. And tonight, September 11th, again, we had a 5 o'clock work session and a 5:45, which started right at 5:40, public hearing, and is scheduled for second reading. With that, it is necessary that this process move forward and that the elections office receive the information that's necessary to prepare for the next election timely. If not, and they're not able to do so, consideration would have to be given to delaying the election. With that, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to council.
Thank you. I will open it up for discussion.
We've had good discussion concerning this event. And if I'm in order, I do know that, Jeff, that you made this motion at our last meeting. And so, not to say you didn't make a good motion, but I'd like to make the motion that we delay this for the second reading at our next council meeting, giving us time to actually look at every option we have to make this a good decision.
Just a point of clarification, I don't think it's necessary to make a motion
Okay?
to do that. I mean, I'm just asking a question. Or should we?
Yeah, in this case, I believe since it's an action item rolling on second reading, you know, make a motion that needs to be voted on to continue the item.
So, the motion, Dr. Thompson, again, is to delay the second reading.
Yes, until the next meeting.
So you have a first by Dr. Thompson,
Second.
second by Mr. Stewart. Discussion.
I'd like to make a comment, Mayor, and I would like to say it out of respect for my council members that are over here. I am personally okay with delaying for the simple fact that we have 2 council members that feel like their district needs to be tweaked a little bit. I do want to make clarification because I know we've had a lot of constituents in here asking questions about this. It's my own personal opinion, so don't put too much weight behind it. But I don't think we are separating communities, in my opinion. I think it's more passionate council members that want to represent constituents and want to represent certain areas. And it does get very difficult for us as council members to lose areas that we love and that we care about and we've grown with for several years of time. I've only been in my seat for a year and a half, right? So my neighbors will take me or leave me, but they know that I'm working hard. But even myself, I had 2,000 constituents that I'm losing in my district. It's very difficult. But I don't have the tenure to understand the ramifications on how that works. But what I do want to say is that this council has worked so good together for the amount of time that we've had. I just want you guys to know that for me, it's more for you guys to be comfortable than my concern that our constituents are collateral damage.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Stewart, then Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd just like to, one, just thank, because this redistricting affects every council member, and that's sitting here 1 through 6. And I know everybody's heard from a lot from Councilman Thompson and myself, but I just really appreciate everybody for allowing time to continue to have dialogue, to look at all these different maps, because it is very important, that we kind of keep, our minority districts intact, and I think that we're doing that. But the thing that I don't have the crystal ball, well, what is my minority district going to look like, 10 years from now? Is that minority district going to be not a majority minority district anymore? I don't know that. And the other thing that concerns me is, is the precincts, the polling places, making sure that, our constituents are able to get out and vote. But one thing that goes beyond a shadow of a doubt, regardless of what district you wind up in, I can assure you that every council member is going to give you 100% representation. So that's my comment, and I just would like to just ask council to consider the motion and the second to allow us at least 2 more weeks to see if there's any tweaking that can be done, and to try to make this better than what it is. It ain't gonna make everything right, but at least we can have at least 2 more weeks of an opportunity.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, just want to make a couple of comments. I'll echo Mr. Martinez's statement that, that respectfully for our council members, a little more time to work on it. I was hopeful that that would have occurred for this past session. There was some public comment earlier that about not changing things. We don't want it changed, and we don't want it changed either. But legally, we're going to have to. So it's going to change. So whatever comes up in the next 2 weeks, should this pass tonight, and I'm in favor of postponing, but we don't have a choice. We have to take action in order to have an election and to be legally compliant with the seats. And the lines are changing. People are going to be affected one way or the other. So, but that's my statement.
All I can say is that I totally agree with Mayor Pro Tem, that we heard from the folks tonight, from the people that said that they wouldn't want any change. That's not possible. With the laws the way they are, we will have to change. But I do agree with the fact that if there's any chance of helping Councilman Stewart and Councilman Thompson with their wards, somehow tweaking it if possible, but they may end up with something they don't like either. But it's still an opportunity for them to do this. So my feeling is that we need to give them the 2 weeks to allow this to happen.
Anything else?
I'll piggyback on that as well. I mean, the map presented tonight, if it's the map presented in 2 weeks, then that's the map that I'll support. But tonight, Councilman Stewart, Councilman Thompson, really heard your passionate pleas and support of y'all as council members and all you do to represent your communities. So I understand where you're coming from.
Thank all of you.
I would say too, just for the record, I'm very cognizant of change. And change is hard on all of us, on anybody that's sitting in office or these young troop members who are sitting in the audience today. Change is hard. But I think all 5 of the maps presented do 2 things that I think are very important. One is preserving a minority-majority district, which regardless of the changes that we make within the next few weeks, we'll still have to do that. And secondly, and I'll say it again, and I think we all say it, we respect everybody on this council. We govern, at the end of the day for the good. We make decisions all the time in regards to the good of the city. Sometimes it does get precinct specific, but the majority of the time when we're making decisions on our budget and rates and water rates, we're trying to do this for the whole city. So, I would, charge Mr. McEwen and his team to, get, again, a group here on council in a room to see if there are any other changes that we can be presented between now and our next meeting at the end of the month. Because I think we all agree, looking down the line, that this is the deadline on the next meeting. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you haven't voted yet, have you?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm just talking.
Yeah, okay.
So, anyway, we had a first, we had a second, we had discussion. Jeff, you can say anything?
I made the first motion to approve draft 4 with very intentional instructions, if you will, to allow time to discuss it. And I think that's what we're doing, and it's honoring my motion originally. So
Okay.
I support delaying.
Have a first, second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We'll move on to new business, and the first item of new business is request consideration of ordinance to adopt the International Code of Congress, the ICC Administrative Procedures Chapter. Mr. McEwen.
Okay, thank you. Maurice McKenzie, our Planning Development Director, will come up and present this item to you and also introduce, we did have an email going out providing an introduction to our new building official, James Whitaker, but we have him here tonight, and he'll also tag team with Mr. McKenzie to present this item. Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you. Tonight, again, we're here to request consideration of an ordinance to adopt the International Codes Congress Administrative Procedures Chapter. The International Codes Council, the ICC, is a nationally recognized authority that writes and updates building codes for states, for municipalities, counties all across the country, and local jurisdictions adopt those. And the South Carolina Building Codes Council is a group statewide that's responsible for approving and modifying those ICC codes to make them better fit the needs of our state. And the South Carolina law does require local governments to use the ICC building codes, which we do, which is something we've done for many years. And once the Building Codes Council adopts the codes, there is no action required by a municipality. We just go ahead and start enforcing those guidelines. And earlier this year, the Building Codes Council adopted the ICC Building Code Series 2021. So in 2023, we adopted the 2021 version. That's where we are today. But one thing we need to do, in addition to cities abiding by those adopted codes, we are charged with adopting and enforcing administrative chapters of each code section, chapters 1 of each code section. And you can see down below there's 8 standard codes, there's 5 permissive codes, so we're talking about 13 chapters. But again, either we can go with the already written ICC administrative codes, or we can work to create our own administrative policies and procedures. And the city of Anderson and most every other municipality, and probably every municipality in the state, goes with the already written ICC code. But again, we have that opportunity if we need to vary from the administrative sections. And there's, again, you can see below there's 13 type of codes, but we did include one example of the administrative chapters in your packet. We didn't include all those because your package would have been very thick, obviously, but those are all very similar in content and format. But we just wanted to give you an example of that. And the process to adopt these administrative chapters is kind of a formality, but it just needs to be done so we can keep everything intact and move forward with enforcing the building codes. And again, tonight, we recommend that you approve the ICC administrative sections, Chapter 1 of the 8 standard codes, the 5 permissive codes that you see in your packet. And again, this comes to you tonight for first reading. And as the city manager mentioned, we have a new building official on staff, James Whitaker, who's been with us since July 31st, and this is his first council meeting. So again, we're very glad to have him on board because, as you know, we went a little over 2 years without having a building official. So it's been very good to have somebody in-house to provide that expertise and knowledge that he brings to the table. But just a quick little background on Mr. Whitaker. He was with the City of County of Greenwood as their building official for 3.5 years before coming here. He was also with the City of North Charleston for 5 years, and he may be familiar to some of you because he spent, 19 years? 19 years with Anderson County prior to that. So he has a lot of local knowledge and feel, so we're glad to have that. But again, a lot of credentials he brings to the table as a certified building official. And again, it's great to have someone in-house to help lead the department, and particularly when we're seeing unprecedented growth throughout the city. But again, I'll be glad to answer any general questions you may have. If you have specific, detailed questions, this is your guy right here to answer those.
Well, welcome, Ms. Whitaker. Appreciate you being here. How often do we do this, Maurice?
I'm sorry?
How often do we have to adopt the codes? Andy?
Well, the way the reading is, if we adopt the current version of the state, we don't have to do this again. So once the state adopts their version of the modified, and they do modify a lot of the codes, we won't have to bring it to council again.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? I always look to my builder to the right.
We all look at that.
I think I can remember your father had a hand in this on a national level.
I'm sure he did. Yes, he did. Absolutely. The building code is lengthy and it's complex. And if you ever have trouble sleeping, just pick up a copy and start reading. You won't go very far into it. For my benefit and for council's benefit, I looked up something on the internet, and if it's on the internet, it's got to be true, right?
Absolutely.
But this came from the International Code Congress. And what is the purpose of Chapter 1? That's really the search I put in, and this is what I got back. But it establishes limits and applicability of the code and describes how the code is to be applied and enforced. It's divided into 2 parts. Chapter 1 is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 is scope and administration. Scope and application. Part 1 is scope and application. Part 2 is administration and enforcement. It goes on to say that this code is intended to be adopted as a legally enforceable document, and it cannot be effective without adequate provisions for its administration and enforcement. The provisions of Chapter 1 establish the authority and duties of the code official appointed by the authority having jurisdiction, that's us, and also establish the rights and privileges of the design professional, contractor, and property owner. Chapter 1 is largely concerned with maintaining due process of law and enforcing the building performance criteria contained in the body of the code. I hope that helps.
What'd you say?
It provides a framework for the enforcement of the code.
No.
We don't sleep yet.
I'm almost nodding off over here. But it provides a framework for its enforcement.
Good deal. Any other questions, comments?
Mayor, with that, I move that we adopt Chapter 1 of the International Building Codes.
Well, first by Mr. Jeff Roberts,
Second.
second by Mr. Lockridge. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously on the first reading. Administrative briefing, Mr. McEwen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a grant that we receive each year, and it's a federal grant, it's a federal funded grant for our law enforcement activities. With that, one of the requirements among many in the reporting requirements is that we publicly advise council of the grant. This is something that many cities and counties across South Carolina receive. We're lucky to receive it. And I think Chief Jim Stewart had a run out, but Assistant Chief Nikki Carson is here to present this item. And no actions necessary, it's just an advisement of the grant, and she'll run through it real quick, how we utilize it.
Good evening. Just as Mr. McEwen stated, on behalf of Chief Stewart and the Police Department and the grant guidelines, we have to formally advise council that we at the City Police Department have been approved and are on the allocation list for funds in the amount of $17,525 in direct funding from the JAG program, which is the Justice Assistance Grant. These funds will be used toward street-level criminal apprehension, and these are the same funds that we have received since 1997.
How much?
17,000.
$17,525.
Any other questions?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Free money is always good.
Absolutely.
And I think I've heard you said we received this since 1997?
1997.
That's a long track record.
Yes.
So you're
Yes.
doing a great job for many years.
And I will say it's competitive. I mean, it's there's a list of cities and counties that was provided. Just not everybody gets this. You have to pursue it, and this is one of many that APD pursues, and we're very fortunate they do that. And it's not an additional cost on taxpayers. It's we're receiving a grant, so it's a good thing for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
B. Thompson Park project update.
Okay, Mr. Andrew Strickland, our Assistant City Manager, will brief this item and then turn it over for just a moment.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. Council, I'm going to kick this in a second to Angie Watkins to brief details for you while I pass out some visuals. But I will say, you hear this often every park project we talk about. We're getting to the end of our Parks and Rec master plan. Well, this is the next phase, certainly not the last, more to come for sure, but one of the last phases in our current Parks and Rec master plan for B. Thompson Park. So we need to get that in front of you guys. We're going to show you what that looks like, and Angie's going to go through the details, but in true Bobby Bevel fashion, he has COVID and can't be here to brief, and so you get Bobby's boss, Angie Watkins.
I will add that we did talk about this at our council retreat as a planned capital project, and also as part of our 2017 rec master plan as an initial phase.
Like Mr. Strickland said, I am here on behalf of the Recreation Division and on behalf of Mr. Bevel tonight, since he could not be here. This is our next, what we're looking at is our next phase of B. Thompson Park, and it is funded through our city's CDBG funding. It's a unique design for our parks in that a lot of our parks all have playground structures, slides, things of that nature, but what we'll be looking at with this is more of a, it involves a lot of climbing structures, netting. You'll see an A-frame cargo net that we'll have there. It's just a lot of different. It'll have balance beams, a spider walk. You see the show Ninja Warrior on TV, and it'll have a lot of playground equipment along those lines in it. This is set up more for older children, teens, and adults. And you can see by one of the drawings you have there, that the location as it pertains to what we already have. And that location will be, you know, kind of near the Market Street side. And then it'll provide a lot of use for those older children, like I said, and teens. The cost of this is, like I said, it is funded through CDBG, and we're looking at Carolina Parks and Play developed this plan for us, and we're looking at a cost of $465,459, and to the penny, 88 cents, they say.
And I will say, there's an additional $50,000 estimated for grading necessary, but it's relatively flat. However, there's some grades necessary. And this would be pour-in-place structure. That's our new standard to go to. That's feedback from you guys after we're doing DB Walker Park, B. Thompson Park Phase 1. You don't have the sand that's just wet all the time and puddles in that, or the mulch that gets everywhere and the kids come home and you have it spread through your house. And then that's very hard to maintain, and it's very hard to have enough there to make it soft and meet that. This pour-in-place structure, which it can rain dry shortly thereafter, and you can play right on it. And it's very soft, so if you were to fall, to absorb that impact, meets all the standards. Additionally, it's ADA accessible, which is very, very important. And so everybody has an opportunity to use it with that type of surface, and a lot less maintenance. And so with that, once it's down, it's down and has a warranty on it. So we plan to use that surface here again. And so again, this is part of our capital projects that we talked about at our council retreat. We're wanting to move it forward. No action required tonight. Wanted to advise you on it, and then what we'll do, if everybody is in agreement of moving it forward with the design, if there are any design questions, we can answer those, is that it'll move forward in the CDBG system. We have to put it in there, allocate the dollars to it, and then we have to go out with the design and go out for pricing and so forth, which comes back to you guys.
Good. Any questions?
No question, but I want to thank the Recreation Department and others who chose to enlarge B. Thompson Park. Those of you who've seen the park, you know how beautiful it is, what we have right now, and how much it is used, and what a wonderful thing for that community. So the addition that you're talking about now is only going to make this even more accessible. It's going to make everybody in that community really, really proud, because you have the little kids there, you have the older ones, you have the teenagers. It's going to be a very, very big improvement for that community, and I want to say thank you very much.
Ms. Lockridge.
First of all, I'm proud for you. I think it's wonderful to have the improvements. But I also did want to mention again that we do have a meeting tomorrow night. It'll be a drop-in from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Recreation Center. It gives people the opportunity to see the plans for the Lindley Park here in Anderson. And one of the wonderful things about that is it's a very, the ballparks are gone. It's a very open area for kids to play and romp and do whatever they need to do. It gives people a chance to go out and picnic on the grass if they want to picnic on the grass. So it gives them a lot of opportunities. So we're looking forward to doing this, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Recreation Center. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn tonight, I know we have a troop in the audience, and so we normally like to get someone to tell us what troop, who you represent.
Hi, I'm Amy Hughes. We have scouts here with Troop 234 from the Knights of Columbus at St. Joseph's Catholic Church.
Well, great. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Mayor, also, I think we've got
some more young people here.
Yeah, the Anderson Area Chamber Company, the Youth Council is here, so I don't know if somebody wants to.
Who's the speaker? They keep pointing at each other. Somebody.
Hey, so this is the Anderson Area Chamber of Commerce Youth Council. I think a lot of you are probably familiar that we have a junior leadership program and a leadership program. Our JLA program just graduated their class 30. So this is the returning senior class coming back. We had kind of toyed around for an idea of what we would do with what's the next step to bridge in between JLA and leadership. Black went to Girl State and came back with a great idea and came to us, and we just, true chamber fashion, decided to jump in head first and just take off running. So this is designed to keep them a little bit more ingrained in Anderson and dive a little bit deeper. So one thing that they were super interested in is local government. So we thought we'd start with city council, and then we're going to move into county and go on a little bit farther. But do you have anything you want to add since you kind of got this started?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. And second, I think the biggest thing I wanted to bring back to start a youth council was so that we know what actually happens behind the scenes, because we see the products of y'all's work, but we don't actually see the work being put in. It's sitting here tonight and hearing y'all discuss everything was just truly a dream, because I want to go into politics, but also I feel like it kind of opens your eyes to the younger generation of what actually goes into city planning and everything else. So thank you for having us here.
Well, thank you for being here. Very good. You sure about politics? All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Mr. Cap Newton, second by Mr. Locke. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.